Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of Paris, Brest, Paris, the final countdown. And I apologize for missing T-17 yesterday. I am really, really sick, and I've been trying to just get to work every day, do a few hours, and then punch out early and try to get some rest, but it's just not helping. So today is Thursday, August the 3rd, T-16. Today I want to do a brief video on my electronics choices. And so we may look back at this video and laugh and say, oh, silly boy, you should have done this, you should have done that. But hey, it's my first time out. I'm usually crew supported when I do my ultras, my 500 milers, which I guess is like 800 or so K. When I did RAM, of course, I was crew supported. And most unsupported brevets, 200, 300, 400, I spend very little time riding at night because I blast through them pretty quickly during the daylight hours so that I don't have a lot of terrain left over once the sun sets. It's just a strategy of mine. I go as hard and as fast as I can during daylight hours, make minimal stops. No stops for food, no stops for anything, and just keep the wheels rolling. So once the sun sets, I have a small time window that I'm riding at night, and so I don't have to worry about longevity of my light sources or battery sources and such. So with that introduction, and by the way, as I mentioned, this is my first time at PBP, so there's going to be a huge learning curve for me. Let's talk about something that I don't think I'm going to have to worry about, and that is my Garmin 1040. And by the way, none of these products were sponsored. None of these products were given to me. None of these products were employee discounts of any way, of any form. I just bought them as store inventory. Garmin 1040 Solar. This thing has been amazing. The amount of battery life that I gain back on sunny days is crazy. It's almost to the point where I lose about 1% per hour. So, now you can kind of do some math there and be like, well, how many miles per hour are you traveling? And so how many miles miles or kilometers can you expect to get out of a full charge? So far, I've gotten about 1% per hour. So at 15 miles per hour, you can do the math. But I will be taking the external battery pack. It's only about 3,000. I believe it's only about 3,000. So I have to decide whether I'm going to take that. I have it. It's going to mount perfectly because of these two contacts that on the mount, the Garmin specific mount for this, it'll just pass through the mount and connect to this. So this thing I should not have to worry about. But then again, I haven't done a lot of overnighters. The 600K I finished in 26 hours, 15,000 feet of climbing, and we rode through the night. And I finished that one with about 57% battery life left on this. So you would assume that at some point you're going to bed down for a little bit and you can start charging it. So I had 57% after 26 hours of total time. I mean, that was amazing. And most of that ride, I mentioned that because I was riding aero bars on that 600K, a lot of the time I was covering the cycling computer, so the sun was not getting direct access to the computer. All right, so that's one thing. The other thing is lights. So in an ideal world, I think I would love to have a hub generator system, because as long as the wheels are rolling, as long as you're rolling, you've got light. I think there's like a 30-second capacitor in there so that when you come up to a stop, your headlight stays on for a little bit longer and then it shuts off. But once you start rolling again, you have light. So as long as you're rolling, you have a headlight. That will solve a lot of problems. But I'm not typically a overnight brevet rider. I'm typically not an overnight unsupported rider. Safety has always been important to me. After one of my friends, Jim Swarsman, was killed on a 600K, I just decided I wasn't going to do any more any overnight brevets any longer. My son was, I think, 3 or 4 years old at the time, maybe 5. So I said, no, I'm done with that. So I was just doing crew-supported ultras, so vehicle behind you, safety, right? So what I've decided to do is I'm using, and I guess you're reading it left to right, I guess. So I've got 2 of these Saigo Light Ranger 2000s. Now, I'm not worried about the 2000 lumen part, or I should say, that wasn't the selling point for me. The selling point for me was with a lot of the Saigo lights, they almost all have like a 2-button system. And so the taillights are the same. And so what you do is you select a mode. So the on and off switch is usually a mode selector as well. So turn a taillight on, headlight on, select the mode, and then the other button selects how fast the taillight blinks, or in this case, how bright the headlight is. So within each mode, you can tailor how bright you want it to be. And the reason that that's important is because if you look here, right in this square here, you'll see in the low setting, it's going to say that this will last 6 to 20 hours. So what that means is, turn this light, turn it on here, okay? And it'll probably be hard for you to notice, but maybe you can. So there's one mode, brighter, brightest, blink, we don't need. So go back to low mode, and then once it's in low mode, what you do is you can make it brighter or make it dimmer. So this light advertised 20 hours. So what does a curious fellow do? Turns on the light and leaves it on all day, all night, and clocks it. How long did it actually stay on? I got about 18 hours out of this. So 18 hours is excellent, and the low setting is several hundred lumen already. So in the low setting, I'm going to get plenty of light out of this. It weighs about half a pound, so yeah, okay. But here's the thing. I was looking at the sunset times and the sunrise times as of, these days here. Of course, that'll change a minute or two every day. But they've, Paris and the en route cities, towns, villages, they're having sunset at like 9:42 p.m. and sunrise at 6 something. So I'm looking at only about 9 hours of darkness. 9 hours of darkness, that's if you're riding all 9 hours throughout the night. So we can look at it a different way. Okay, maybe you ride 4 or 5 hours of that night, and then you bed down for about 4 hours. So you only need 4 to 5 hours of light capacity. So with this 18-hour burn time on low, that's about 3 days, right? So maybe one headlight will get you through, maybe. But it's always best to have a spare. So 1 and 2 in the middle of the night, wherever I'm at, control, whatever, I might get confused. Which one did I charge? Which one did I not charge? So, of course, I've marked them 1 and 2. I always used to do this for my crew vehicles so that they always knew which light they had given me, which one they had charged, just to keep track of everything. I just always numbered everything. So, if we bed down for 3 or 4 hours a night, and I get 4 or 5 hours of burn time, I think I'm good. 18 hours, but you always carry a spare. I've also got spare tail lights. The other thing that I'm bringing along to help myself. Oh, and one last thing about these headlights. And I'm not sure if all headlights do this, but the other thing I did is I plugged this in to a battery source, and excuse me, I need my glasses. But I plugged this into a battery source, and the headlight works. So I don't know if other just regular rechargeable headlights work when they're plugged into a battery source. So if I need a little boost, I can do that too by just plugging it in. So now let's move on to the battery sources. So shut that off. So I got 2 of these, and I've got them in pink because I love pink. My mom died from breast cancer, so always makes me think of my mom. But these are 20,000, and let me get a measuring tape. So these are just a little bit over 6 inches, 6.5 inches, 15.5 centimeters. So 20,000, 2 outlets, C cord going in. So what I'm thinking is I bring one with, and then I have one in my drop bag. And to be honest, the one thing I'm most concerned about is my cell phone. iPhone, Apple should release a new phone in September. So it's like, this is August, and I don't want to buy a phone that in 15 days later is going to be outdated, right? So I'm trying to hold on to the phone that I have. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off that phone while I'm riding, and only turn it on when I absolutely need to use it. So that's primarily why I'll need this. If the headlight works as advertised, if the Garmin works as advertised, then this is an emergency, and possibly for other riders who might, even Lori, my riding partner for this event. But the other thing that I thought was cool, this is my top tube bag now, and this is a Pro bag, and it's probably should do an unboxing on this thing. It's really cool. It is a waterproof bag. You can tell by all the seams how they are covered up, and it basically feels like a big old rubber bag. So this fits in here quite nicely. So I'll have this in my top tube. I can pull the cable out and charge whatever I need to charge. So I went with a larger top tube bag and a larger battery, so I'd have capacity more than I would need. At the same time, I'm still debating on these little guys that I have, different battery packs and different things. Still trying to decide how to make that all work. So that is my electronics package, and I'd like to hear from some of you folks what you experienced in the past when you did Paris, Brest, Paris, or any overnight brevet gravel race or something that you could share some tips with me. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, T-16, it's getting closer and closer, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you up the road.